الو.
مين جنبك؟ أظن مازك هانم كلمة جنبك عني. سليمان باشا. أهلا أهلا وسهلا أهلا تفضل 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 معايا يا باشا أهلا وسهلا تفضل أهلا أهلا.
يا جماعة الناس دخلت.
يا مرحبا. تهيألي من الهانم رسيتك على الموضوع كله.
Good morning, dear students. I hope that you please don't open your camera and don't open your mic. I'm going to mute you all. Okay? The ones who are Good morning, dear students. How are you? Today we are going to take chapter 2 in the story. I hope you have your books in front of you and your booklets, because today we are going to discuss some important events. Let's go and see, and let's don't waste time. Please, I'm going to ask you again. If you want anything, just postpone everything till we end our session, till we end the explanation. Okay? If you have a sticky note, keep it with you and write down your questions in it. Then after I finish, if you have any question, I'm going to answer you. Do you hear me all? Okay, let's start our session. The newcomers joining
ميس أنا النت عندي وحش قوي يا ميس لو سمحتي.
the newcomers who are joining the meeting, please no opening your mic. Don't open your mic, okay? Okay, let's go, please. Close the mics or I'm going to kick you out of the meeting. Okay, let's go. Chapter 2, together again. Remember when our first chapter ended in D'Artagnan entered his office and he found a message from his colleagues, from his friends, the musketeers, especially Aramis, asking him to join them in the secret meeting in the usual place in Paris. Today we are going to see what will D'Artagnan tell the king he was going to, and what will happen during this meeting. Let's go. Let's start first with the vocab. Okay. Here, this is your vocab, reputation, reputation, the beliefs or opinions that are generally held on someone or something. Hatred, to hate somebody. Pavement, the sidewalk, the sidewalk. Close your mics, the sidewalk. Bilal, I'm warning you from the very beginning. Okay. Pavement, sidewalk.
Yes.
I
What the?
said, Bilal, I'm not gonna say again at the end of the session, ya Bilal. After I finish explanation, get ready with your book, story, and your booklet. A bishop. What is a bishop? Chef, priest, chef, priest. Crucifix, crucifix, a cross. Gigantic, huge, gigantic, huge. Ambition, ambition, desire. Betray, betray, sheet. Tavern, inn, a small hotel. Let's go for our tyrant. Wait. Tyrant, someone who treats people in an unfair way. Loyalty, the quality of staying in support for someone. You support and be kind for someone till the end of the problem. Let's go. Bishop, crucifix. This is the bishop, the priest in a church, and he is holding crucifix. He is holding the crucifix. Here, Tavern, stop opening the mic. I can hear your breathing. Please. Tavern, small inn, gigantic.
Miss,
Yasin Amr and Adam Muhammad. I said, don't open your mic. Gigantic and pavement. Gigantic, pavement. They are walking on the pavement. Let's go. Who are we going to meet this chapter? In this chapter, we are going to meet, yes, Aramis. He is an ex-musketeer who is now great bishop after he joined the church. He left to be the one of the king's guards and one of the musketeers, and he went and joined the church. He would never do anything wrong. Study these three things about Aramis. He is serious, careful, and always suspicious. Serious, careful, and always suspicious. Yasin Amr. This is the last time, please, for you to open your mic. He is serious, careful, and always suspicious. Athos, he is one of the four well-known musketeers. He retired and lived on his farm. After war, he had a son. Athos had a son called Raoul, who was killed in the war. And since he was murdered and killed in the war, Athos lost all his old love of life. All he lived for now was his dogs and the sound of silence on his farm. Abdurrahman Wael, I ask you to
Yes.
unmute yourself. What do you want?
Okay. Is this written in the story?
Abdurrahman, you can go back to the story and read. And after I finish, you are going to see the whole thing. Okay? Just bear
Okay.
with me till the end of the session.
Okay.
All he lived for now was his dogs and the sound of silence on his farm. Let's go. Here, Porthos. What about Porthos? One of the four well-known musketeers. He is a big talker person. He always talks. He doesn't do anything. Okay? He retired and finally had time to enjoy himself. He tried to marry, but had found it difficult. He was still not ready for the quiet life in the country. Okay, all these you are going to find them in the story, and you are going to see at the end of the PowerPoint, our presentation, our session, that the slides from the story and the underlined parts in the story. Just wait till the end. Let's see who are in this picture. Of course, the four musketeers. We have D'Artagnan, Aramis, yes, Athos, and Porthos. D'Artagnan, when he saw the message, when he received the message, he told the king that he was going to set off next day to see the situation in Paris. D'Artagnan set off to see and attend the secret meeting with his old friends, the Musketeers. And who are they? Aramis, Athos, and Porthos. What did what did he see in Paris? What did D'Artagnan see in Paris? Once D'Artagnan entered Paris, he saw people dying people in the streets. Only this? No, he can only see again hatred in angry people's eyes. And when they saw him wearing his suit and they recognized him as a musketeer, the crowd started throwing stones and rotten cabbages on him. They started throwing stones and rotten cabbages on him. Not only this, but they also shouted, "Shame on the king and shame on the musketeers." Okay? They also shouted, "Shame on the king and shame on the musketeers." Why? Because they were suffering from hunger and from war. Where was the meeting? Where was the meeting? Of course, it was in a cellar of food store owned by Aramis's cousin. Finally, the four old musketeers met. Okay? So, in a cellar of food store, this is the cellar of food store owned by Aramis' cousins. Finally, the four old musketeers met. Now, what happened to the four musketeers after they parted each other and after many years had passed? What do you think happened to the four musketeers? Let's go. Aramis became an important bishop, always careful, always suspicious. That's why I told you to memorize Aramis's three traits, personality traits. He is always serious, careful, but suspicious. Okay? This is for Aramis. D'Artagnan, we know that he became captain of the King's Guard. He served France for nearly 30 years. He still didn't make a family. He didn't get married. Okay? Didn't marry. What about Porthos? Yes, he tried to get married several times, but it was difficult. But it was difficult for him. He was not still ready for the country life. Athos, as we had already known, that he had a son called Raoul who was killed in the war, so he was always sad. He had lost all his love of life. All he lived for now was his dogs and his farm. What do you think the reason for the meeting was? What do you think the reason for the meeting was? Yes, it was to discuss the serious situation in Paris. Remember when we talked about that Paris was suffering and its people were suffering about from hunger and war and people were dying, children didn't have apple, even an apple to eat, and those who had strength used to break in shops and steal, right? Right. Right. So they have met to discuss the serious situation in Paris. Well, طيب, do you think that Aramis had a plan? Yes, he had a plan. What was Aramis's plan? He wanted to replace the king. He wanted to replace King Louis and get rid of him because he was killing his people with war and taxes. Of course, we all knew that King Louis, as a tyrant king, he did not only made, made his people suffer from war and hunger, but only he put a load on them, extra load on them by paying taxes, paying extra money for everything they got. So they they were burdened, they were overloaded by war, hunger, and the money taxes they were paying for the king. Okay, we knew now that Aramis has a plan that he wanted to replace the king, right? Right. For those who are raising their hands, for those who are raising their hands, you have the story, okay? You have the booklet. If you open your booklet, if you opened your story and try to follow, you are going to see that everything is in your book and booklet. Um, if you have any questions concerning the PowerPoint or the session, the story itself, please write it down in a sticky note. And I'm not going to say this again. Okay? And then at the end of the session, please ask me anything and don't interrupt to finish. Let me finish first. Bilal, what do you want? Bilal.
ميس
Yes.
هو انتوا في ايه؟ انا ما كنتش معاكم. انا النت كان عندي فاصل فانا ما كنتش معاكم.
Bilal, we are in chapter 2. Try to follow. Yasin Amr, do you have any questions? Okay.
No. No.
No. So why are you raising your hand? Let's continue. Although Aramis had a perfect plan to get rid of the king, Louis, he didn't tell his friends about it. Why? Why do you think so? Why do you think he didn't want to tell his friends about it? Remember when we said that he is serious, careful, but always suspicious? That's the reason why he didn't tell his friends about his plan, because he still has doubts about D'Artagnan's loyalties. Where do they lie? Okay, again, he didn't tell his friends about his plan because he still had doubts about and suspicions about D'Artagnan's loyalties. Where will they lie? To be with them and to be part of the plan, or to be loyal to the promise he had made 30 years ago to the king's father and to the king to defend the country and the king. And so, if Aramis is suspicious about D'Artagnan, why did he send him a message and why did he insist on meeting him? Because he is the only man on earth, D'Artagnan is the only man on earth that the king could truly trust. He could make the replacement of the king happen so easily. So the future of France is in his hands. That's why Aramis is stubborn and strong-headed in having D'Artagnan to be part of the plan, and that's why he insisted and sent him a message to meet in the secret place. Why? Because they know that the only man that the king trusts was D'Artagnan. So he could make the replacement of the king happen so easily, so the future of France is in his hands. But did D'Artagnan agree to be part of the plan? No, D'Artagnan refused to join Aramis's request to be part of the plan. He refused it. Why? Why? Let's see. D'Artagnan thought that King Louis is still young, and he asked the musketeers to wait for a year or two for Louis to change. Please, the one who opened the mic, Abdel Rahman Hussein. Okay. Um, D'Artagnan thought that the king was still young, so he had a chance to change in a year or two. But do you really think that the king was going to change? If you open your booklet, you are going to find this quotation in your booklet. I know, and it's with a heavy heart that you force me to make this decision. I'm simply asking you to wait. In a year or two, he may change. Okay? So, who said this to whom? D'Artagnan said this to Aramis in the cellar. Where or when? What was the situation? When Aramis told D'Artagnan about the plan and D'Artagnan refused to be part of it. Okay? طيب. Is this all? No. But because he made a promise to God and Louis the 13th to defend the king and the country. Okay, let's go on. Did D'Artagnan accept to help his friends in their plan? Why? All these, you are going to find them in the booklet and the story. No, he didn't, because 30 years ago he made a promise to God and to King Louis the 13th to defend king and country, and he couldn't break that promise. What was the Musketeers' slogan? Of course, the Musketeers has a slogan, and that's why D'Artagnan and Aramis tried to convince D'Artagnan that either to be with them or to be against them, and um, he tried to encourage him and to make him remember about their old days and the oath they have taken and they swore about and their slogan, one for all and all for one. And what does this mean? It means united we stand, divided we fall. All for one and one for all. Okay, this is their slogan. طب D'Artagnan asked his friends to wait. In a year or two, King Louis might change. The one who is opening the mic, Omar Nabil. Okay, again. Um, let's go. Why? His friends couldn't wait. Will his friend wait? No, his friends couldn't wait. Um, the one who is opening the mic, please, please stop it. Noor, Karim, what do you want? What do you want?
يا ميس صوت حضرتك مكتوم جدا.
What?
صوت حضرتك مكتوم جدا.
What shall I do? It's about, I can hear you well, so I think it's the net. I think it's the net.
بس أنا كنت سامعهم كويس.
What?
أنا كنت سامعهم كويس.
طب يبقى it has something to be in your internet connection. It's in your internet connection or your headphones. I didn't do anything, okay? Try to manage your settings. Okay, let's go. His friends couldn't wait because the people of France were dying. They had to act quickly. Only this, if he wasn't with them, then he was against them. That's why I told you that they have reminded him of their slogan, all for one and one for all. If D'Artagnan kept his promise with the king, with the late king, and defend the country and the king, he will not be with the musketeers. Then he is against them. That night, D'Artagnan took a room in a nearby tavern, but he hardly slept. Why? As we said, he was between two conflict things, either to keep his promise that he took 30 years ago to the king and country to defend them, or to be with his friends who loved them, okay, whom he loved them, okay, um, whom he loved them, and to betray the king. So he couldn't sleep because he was suffering from this conflict, either to be with them or to be against them. What do you think he's going to do? To be a part of them or not? And do you think Aramis's plan will succeed? Why and why not? Now, please open your book with me and let's underline the parts you need to underline. These are your slides. Page 1 in chapter 2 together again, page 14, yes, but the thought of seeing Paris and its starving people again did not make me happy. I saw nothing but hatred in their eyes. Even there, Stones and rotten cabbages were thrown at me, accompanied by the words, shame on the king, shame on King Louis, shame on the musketeers. Our meeting place was in the cellar of a food store owned by a cousin of Aramis. The rest of the page, okay, let's go down. Aramis, as a bishop of some importance, he was often at court, or Athos seldom came to Paris. Since his son was killed in the war, he had lost all his old love of life. All he lived for now was his ducks and the sound of silence on his farm. Porthos, I heard, had tried marriage, but had found it difficult. He was still not ready for the quiet life of the country. Let's go. Page 415 at the bottom of the page, the last line. I am a soldier, Aramis. Soldiers are taught to obey orders. And this is a comment in your booklet. Let's go. Page 16, the paragraph before the last. We have, gentlemen, France is killing its people with wars and taxes. Gentlemen, France is killing its people with wars and taxes. The people in the cities are dying of hunger. Gentlemen, France is killing its people with wars and taxes. Our young men die by the thousands of or come back